Looks like we are. I would like to call the June meeting of the Riley Purgatory Bluff Creek Watershed District Board of Managers to order. To begin with, we have all of the managers present with us today. Our district administrator will be joining us over the internet as he needs to. Otherwise, we have Liz here to help us. So the first thing we have on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion.
The agenda is submitted.
I second.
Go ahead.
Okay, we've got a second. Any other changes to the agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor of adopting the agenda as printed, please say aye. Aye. None opposed. And next we are to matters of public interest. Do we have anyone who would like to speak? I see Mr. Cook. Please identify yourself, your home address, and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you. Not hearing you.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. My name's Larry Cook. I live at 471 Bighorn Drive in Chanhassen and speak rather rapidly here. I think there was a great budget proposal proposed by Mr. Jeffrey at the 4% level, notwithstanding the fact that Spring Valley purchase price was included. Again, we should not have purchased that property. We should sell that property. It does not have significant water features on it. And as I said before, I believe it's outside the law. There's no budget issues. We don't have to go build a building. We could certainly look and rent it. With all the changing economics, I think it would be foolish to jump into trying to build a building at this point without a lot more study. I know you discussed about this, but last thing we need is a Trump ballroom in the state of Minnesota. To be quite frank about this, we should be hiring a commercial real estate firm to look into the various options. That's what they do for a living. I'm curious as to where was the increase in employees? Seems like it's a significant increase. You can address that offline to me. I would caution everybody, it's the taxpayers' money. It's not yours. It's not the district. We're supposed to be stewards of our constituents' money, and it just looks like this expenditure for an edifice resembling probably going to be like the Capital Region one is a waste of taxpayers' money. With respect to the 10-year plan, I come back to keep it simple. I think we're overthinking it. One analysis is you can plan a highway between A and B on that basis. You can think of facilities, et cetera, you want it, but you don't have to go to the level of detail saying, at least not at this point, is it going to be concrete or bituminous, et cetera, all the fine detail in that to be developed on a project by project. And it just seems to maybe overworking the 10-year plan. And the last point is the 10-year plan should be driving what money we're going to be spending, if anything, on the Spring Valley property and when it's going to be spent. Maybe it's 5 years out. And I think just state of the economy, dumping a lot of money in a building is not wise, with a lot of great input by people who are in the business of analyzing this. And I believe that renting the property is the way to go. I'd like to see the district address wake boats, they're causing significant damage on Lotus Lake. And just refer you all to the U of M's study on that basis. I believe that the district has the authority to stop wake boats based upon the criteria and the findings of the University of Minnesota on that basis. So I think one thing that really could do to help water quality, at least in Lotus Lake, and I'm sure on Riley, is to control wake boats and limit their operations based upon the scientific study by the U of M. I want to address the reason why it's also a problem is stirring up the bottom of the lake. If anybody knows about wake boats, we've had a massive algae bloom. This is like the third year in a row. And what I found is it looks like an abundance of curly, what is it, curly pond leaf or whatever it's called, washed up on the shores and having to deal with that. And I'm curious, again, just offline, has anybody else had that? And finally, I'd like to be addressed offline. Has St. Hubert's paid what it owes the district for all the work that we did on their property? And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else who would like to address the board during the public comment section? I see none. So next we are on to the reading and approval of minutes. Anybody have any changes to our minutes from May 20th?
Had one.
Yes, please.
It's in the regular minutes.
Okay.
Meeting minutes. It was on page 4, line 117, I believe. It just, forgot the second F. It inspects the violation should be drops off the district's regulatory report.
Okay.
It's very insignificant.
Anything else? Anybody else have any other changes to make to the minutes? So I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes with that one change to it.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Thank you.
As amended.
Thank you.
As amended.
Okay. So all those in favor of the amended minutes, as we've discussed, please say aye.
Aye.
None against. So next we are on to committee and member reports. Receive the Citizens Advisory Committee report. Do we have a representative from the CAC here with us today? Yes, hi.
Excuse me.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Ed Goff,
Hi, Ed.
and this is my first year on the CAC and my first managers meeting. So nice to meet you all. I was just looking over our minutes. We spent a lot of time going through the 10-year plan, and we broke into small groups and looked at ways and prioritizing some of the ideas. Oh, it's not on? Not close enough. Anything else?
Is there a mic he's supposed to go to? He's got a mic. Oh. Here. just use this.
Do I have to say everything again?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any questions, or do I introduce the minutes, or?
Typically, what happens is you tell them what happened at the last meeting, and ask if there are anything that the CAC would like to recommend to the board, or if the board has any recommendations to the CAC.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, a lot of the time was spent on the 10-year plan, but if there are items that the CAC can work on, I know that we are looking at coming together with some recommendations on how we can both help, and some items in the watershed district, which are both conservation minded as well as way of preserving. So we're going to be coming through with some of those, I think, in our next meeting or the meeting after.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Off we are to select the board member to attend the August 6th CAC meeting.
Volunteer.
And Tom Duval is volunteering. Thank you, Tom.
It's July 6th, right?
It's August 6th.
There's no
It's
meeting.
quarterly. Yes, they do it quarterly. Yes, every other, or excuse me, not quarterly. Thank you.
Still okay.
Okay, next is the May Administrator Report. Harry, will you be talking to us?
President Pedersen matters. I have a couple things I want to touch base on briefly with you. The first one is, as you were informed at our last meeting, there has been some consternation over the Minnesota Universal Building Code, Plumbing Code, Chapter 15, rule changes. We met today as a group, people from League of Minnesota Cities, the Minnesota Stormwater Coalition, the Freshwater Society, various municipalities and watershed districts all met this morning and discussed what is going on right now. At this point, there are a few things that are of interest or would be of interest to the board. At this time, we're not going to move forward with reaching out to the press on anything. We're going to wait until after on June 23rd. There's a special meeting of the plumbing board. I discussed this rule. We are all encouraged to go there and speak not only about how this rule will impact water quality, but all of the other surrounding metrics, potable water supply, aesthetics, efficiency of use, groundwater recharge, et cetera. We are looking at a parallel strategy and possibly two different approaches. Maybe a bill explicitly allowing for stormwater reuse, override it, or limiting jurisdiction of the plumbing board. We've talked to the other agencies. Minnesota Department of Health does not suggest or support exclusion of stormwater. MPCA is 100% obviously in support of stormwater reuse. We are still working through some of the issues with the watershed districts that are trying to get projects permitted and what that means to them. In general, there is a large coalition of organizations that are coalescing around this. I'm going to be speaking at that June 23rd meeting. So we'll keep you apprised of what comes of that. But I wanted to give you a quick update on that. And then the other thing I wanted to talk to you about briefly, we talked about a little bit during the workshop. I did tour what is currently the Eden Prairie Police Department facilities. They will be moving from the east end to the west end of the building. There is another tenant that is also looking at using part of that space. It is a very large space, so more than we would need. The actual distribution of where our last office would be and where their first office would be is yet to be determined. But in general, we would be in the very northeast corner. Then there are 3 large parking bays that are within the building. Those would go to the other tenant. There's an external 3-door garage, 3-stall garage. We would take occupancy of 2 of those stalls for storing our equipment. There is plenty of space for boardroom, whether it be within the area that we're looking at renting or shared space. There is a cafeteria area. There is an area that we can turn into a wet lab. There is communal space for offices as well as individual offices. I think this space would work very nicely. Again, if we want to move forward with that, I think it is really a good option for us this time until we can solve a more long-term issue with the site. But I'm happy to answer their questions about it as best I can at this point, with it still knowing that it's a little bit nebulous. What will happen is the city manager for Eden Prairie is going to talk to the other tenant that is looking at it, talk about their space needs, and it might be that myself, a representative from the other organization, and representative from Eden Prairie kind of sit down and do a facility together and talk about how it worked. But I think the space would work really well with very minor changes to it. And that's really it. What I have for a report.
I have
You
a
have a question?
So any notion of terms at all? And when is our lease up here again? I forgot.
So our lease is up in the spring. I actually had said July, but it's actually up in end of April, 27. There is month-to-month option already worked into the lease. I would have to go back and look at the numbers, what they were. They increased a little bit. The terms with the city have not been established yet, but I did share with them what we were currently paying and that we would like it to be better than that. Even if it isn't in terms of what the monthly rent is, the other expenditures that we absorb, we have to pay. We have to pay the maintenance company a monthly fee. We pay their insurance, we pay their taxes, we're paying for everything on this building that we're in. Well, that you're in right now. I'm not in it, but
So it's a net lease, meaning we pay them a rent payment plus all the operating expenses.
that is correct. Yeah. Yeah. So we would definitely work out a better deal than that.
So time-wise, it seems like that's something that we should be working on fairly diligently at this point, right?
Right.
Which it sounds like we are.
Yeah, so the other, Madam President Pedersen brought it up earlier, the repairs like the lights. We're gonna have to repair those either way, even if we move out because of the way the lease is written. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, it's a good thing, but fluorescents are no longer legal in the state. It requires changing the fixtures.
I would say that put as many fixes off as possible until the very end so that it doesn't break again.
Yeah, yes.
Like I don't want to replace the light and then have it die 2 days later, so.
If managers don't mind sitting in the dark.
Jill, you have a question or a
Yeah,
comment?
so did Cap Region bring forward a resolution on the plumbing code issue?
They did not present one at this meeting, but that is their plan to bring one forward. Yes.
So I'm assuming that when we vote on this stuff at the August meeting, that there
I
will be
suppose-
something included in, then that will be going to the legislative, our lobbyists for the legislative platform.
Yeah, I think that is a safe assumption. I cannot say for certain that is it, but that was definitely the intimation from the meeting that I got.
Because the sooner we act on that, the better, given that we've got water reuse and all kinds of Bowser projects, and everybody's doing it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the other part of it is even if, so there's the projects moving forward, but then there's the projects that are already put in the ground. And so even if they would allow that, if we had to go back and modify or repair those, I think at that point, then the new rule would kick in. And so maintenance of these facilities would be next to impossible as well.
But so like people like you could speak to, like if we have to have hearings, we can certainly speak to the projects. The athletic field in Chan and the fire department, the fire station we did. People have been doing these, I would assume that. We just inundate them with all the stuff that's being done already and the millions of gallons is saving.
Yeah, and if you look at the Thrive 2050 plan for the Metropolitan Council, that heavily reliant on stormwater capture and use, cities like Hugo and White Bear Lake and Woodbury, given the lake levels in White Bear Lake, are heavily reliant on it as well. So, it's beyond just a water quality benefit. It really affects almost everything that regional governments are doing. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot we can speak to on it.
So when it comes down to it, actually, we could all be contacting our own legislative people if there's a bill that gets introduced and
Yes,
be robust. Okay.
yes, yep.
Okay, any other questions of the administrator? Hearing none, we're on to the May staff report. Do we have any questions of him on the May staff report? I don't personally, but do you have any comments at all, Terry? Nope. Okay.
No, I do not, thank you.
All right.
So I guess I wanted to ask a little bit about the groundwater management. So this came up kind of in something we already covered, but instead of doing wells, we want to do more groundwater, surface water interaction assessments and that. Is that where we're going, kind of, or not?
President Pedersen, Manager Crafton, that's one of the goals, is to really, rather than go district-wide with a real high level, focus on a specific resource to really understand that interaction better.
Okay, because we got down monitor well installation, so I was just wondering.
No wells have been installed.
Okay, well, okay. Staff met with Bar to review the proposed plan, so I was just wondering, okay, clarification. Okay,
Any other questions with Scott on the May engineers report? Done. Off we are to the May regulatory report. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none. The list is getting longer. That's what I saw as I was reading through the report. A few months away, there was just nothing happening over the winter, and then suddenly, boom, we are in it.
I had one, so under the task order 52 with the whiteboard thing, it says developing assessment code for the statistical analysis. That's just how to build that out or what?
They're working on software coding to run the statistics. That's all
Okay,
they're saying.
okay, okay.
Big hole in the ground at Plaza Drive.
Yeah,
I'm like, I saw that and I'm like,
Wow.
whoa.
that is a big hole. Receive legal report. Anything to receive, Mr. Smith?
Managers, we've discussed the resolutions, the legislative committee. Manager Nelson serves on that for Minnesota Watersheds, is meeting on Monday afternoon, and I think if I understand Terry's direction, will be there to present or answer any questions on the wakeboard resolution that you introduced.
Okay.
I believe there is also a resolution introduced by Capital Region on the plumbing issue, the stormwater reuse. So we'll report back the next meeting.
Thank you.
So when's that meeting?
Next Monday. After.
Monday at
This
1.
22nd.
Yes.
Okay, I think I got stuff on there. Okay.
Do any managers have a report? Okay, hearing none. Off we are onto the Audit and Finance Committee meeting report. And who is going to present that for us?
Well,
Okay.
so we had a Audit and Finance Committee meeting report on June 1st, about 2.5 weeks ago. A much bigger group than we normally have. We covered four major topics. So in addition to myself, Manager Crafton was there, and Administrator Jeffrey, Office Manager Gardner. We had Nielsen from Abdu, CPA firm. We had Pedersen and Morenos from Barry Dunn and Lewis Smith. So again, it was a big meeting. So anyway, the 4 topics we covered. Number 1, we went through the audit. Again, these are all very high-level discussion points, but we have a clean, unmodified GAAP opinion, no internal control findings for 2025. That's similar to what we've had in past years. And the only issue that's come up, it's in the management report, and it's an issue that has come before us several times in the past, and related to the legal compliance regarding payments within statutory 35 days. They do a statistical sampling, and they found 3 instances where the payments were made outside of that 35 days. And again, we surfaced the fact that we're working on 45-day contract provisions with all of our vendors, as well as we had a motion to put into our minutes regarding that. So anyway, it sounds like they're reviewing it again, but I doubt that it's going to change. Anyway, just some high-level comments on the overall, talking about cash reserves. And I guess the comment that did come up in regarding the audit and the management finding was with Bill.com and our new Sage system with Barry Dunn. We're not anticipating that we're going to have that same issue next year, and it relates to the way we process bills. So hopefully that gap will be just gone as a result of our new system. We went through the Bill.com process. We went through the workflow. I won't go into the details here, but we talked through the different stages. Delegated authority threshold, $15,000. Also, Lewis was there and we discussed changes to our governance manual regarding a motion that we had at our last meeting, which was asking for an amount of time before we made those changes while we're in the process of updating our accounting system. So I think we're getting close to doing something with that. I don't know, Lewis, or we might have we'll have a comment. No, we won't have a comment on that later, but Lewis is passing around a draft resolution that will be made available to the governance committee to review. I think that meeting, I don't know if that's been scheduled yet or not, but anyway, we have a July 15th deadline to make the changes to our governance document regarding that. And then finally, we did again a very high level view of the budget, which Administrator Jeffrey went through earlier. And that was it. Manager Crafton, do you have any other comments?
So if there's a deadline for July 15th and we don't have a meeting until after that, or how does that sit?
We extend that.
Terry, when is the next meeting scheduled for the governance committee?
On July 15th.
It's on
Well-
July 15th?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Governance committee is scheduled for next.
Well, the governance committee is the 25th of June. And then
Okay,
the next
so-
board meeting is on July 15th. So we do have time to get it
Done.
adopted by then.
Okay, that's
I
great.
forgot one other item here, an important item, and we talked about and discussed the treasurer's report format, of which we have seen the first iteration of that this month, down to 2 pages. Basically looking at the balance sheet and some high-level budget items. And then Manager Crafton requested that we be able to look at more detail into the projects and project level. And we discussed again the notion that we were going to work that into our quarterly project review, where we would look at much greater detail, the actual project details, as well as the budget surrounding those items.
I think I was kind of focused on being familiar with the codes and how that relates to what activities are being done. So not that you have to do narrative on all the details, but that's why I was interested in that one document we looked at where there were codes, so you kind of can know exactly what's falling under that stuff. Doesn't have to be.
That's all.
I'd have to say, after having looked through a lot of audits, this was the cleanest, clearest audit that I think I've ever seen come Riley. So I was impressed. Things are coming along really good, really well. Thank you, Tom and Jill. Okay, we're on to the consent agenda. If I may entertain a motion to approve the items or move to approve the items on the consent agenda.
I move to approve the items on the consent agenda.
I need a second.
A second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments before we vote? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda and approval, please say aye. Aye. And none opposed. Okay, next, we are on to new business. No items from the consent agenda had been removed, so we are now on to adopting the May Treasurer's Report, Resolution 26-023, and approving the payment of bills. I would love to hear a motion for that.
I move to approve resolution 26-023, approving the payment of the bills and receiving the financial statements.
Second.
Okay, thank you so much. All those in favor of adopting resolution 26-023, please say aye. Aye. None opposed. And now we are on to the proposed boundary adjustments with Carver County Watershed Management Organization. So who would like to address this? We need
President
your,
Pedersen, managers, I can talk to that. Carver County WMO, Minnehaha Creek Watershed District, have been looking at, boundary adjustments. And in so doing, there is one, parcel from Carver County WMO that would go into Riley Purgatory Bluff Creek Watershed District. And there is one parcel that would go the other direction. There's really no significant impact on tax revenues or on our abilities to carry out our mission of the watershed district. We do, though, need to, all watershed districts involved need to pass resolution that they are in favor of the boundary change as suggested. There is a memorandum from Paul Moline in the packet. I think he does a pretty good job of explaining it and what's going on. But yeah, it will not have any impact on our mission and work that we're doing.
Mr. Smith.
Madam President, managers, I believe I sent some edits to that resolution. And I guess my request would be they were non-substantive. There was just statutory references to the boundary change process. And I thought some more precise language. So my request would be that the board adopt the resolution with the understanding that consistent with non-substantive changes as recommended by council.
Okay. I'd love to hear a motion to that effect. Anybody willing to put that forth? Adopt resolution 26-024 approving the proposed boundary adjustments with non-substantive edits to the resolution as suggested by Mr. Smith. How about that?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Nothing. Everybody who approves, please say aye. Aye. None opposed. All right, we are now on to the resolution discussing the expenditure of $36,000 to reserve funds for a new truck and to sell the Ford at the state auction. Terry, would you like to address that?
President Pedersen, managers. So the resolution is written and saying, actually, the title should be changed, authorize up to $40,000.
Okay.
The resolution is written such that we would follow the state procurement process, which would be better explained by Mr. Smith than by myself. But we know we want a hybrid vehicle. We know we want a full-size truck. We know we need it to be able to have towing capacity, which really is the Ford Maverick. Is the only one available. The Ford that we have that originally came from the University of Minnesota when they were doing their carp work, when we had it in last to get work done, the people at the mechanics said your frame is rusted and that we should not be driving it. Since we have multiple crews going out right now and the personnel manual does say not to use your own vehicle when possible. Besides that, while we want somebody using their own vehicle to be towing our trucks or to be going on to construction sites, I think it's imperative that we have this vehicle. We have 2 data collection crews going out. We have the soils crew going out. We have the education outreach folks going to various meetings, and we have the regulatory program doing inspections of construction sites. So with 3 vehicles left operable, we are only able to accommodate all of that. This will have an implication on the budget that I bring forward, because that will be another $40,000 or whatever ends up being spent from the reserve funds. So thank you. I did get one quote for $36,000, but that was not going through the state contract. So
So it might be as much as 40 is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I put the 40 on there is if we had to add a towing package, trailer hitch, things of that nature. I just want to have some leeway in there to be able to make adjustments as necessary.
But the resolution says 36.
Yes, so we need to change that to 40,000. So that's an amendment to the resolution. And I need a motion.
I move that we adopt resolution 26-025, authorizing administrator to spend up to 40,000 from the reserve funds on a new truck and sell the Ford at state auction as amended.
Okay,
I second.
thank you. Any discussion, further questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of adopting the resolution as amended, please say aye. Aye. None opposed. Next, oh, good, we're on to Marshall Farms. And we're looking at Scott, because I'm assuming that would be a Scott discussion item. Is that true, Scott?
Correct.
Okay.
President Pedersen, managers, I've got a few slides if you want me to go through the slides, or we can just go straight to questions.
No,
the board.
slides would be nice.
All right.
It was a very complex project.
Lot of red.
51 homes, is that right?
Yeah,
51.
but it's a very complex
Michelle,
site.
can you allow me to share? Too many windows open.
There it is.
Managers, we're in the Riley Creek watershed. This is along Dell Road at the sort of the southern edge of the district boundary. It's one of the few remaining farmstead properties in the district that are slated for development. If you remember last fall, there was a different developer that was presenting a project called Marshall Gardens. That was some residential homes with a large apartment building right along the top of the bluff. In this instance, they have, it's all residential development is what they're proposing. I'm having the same problem. There it is. So again, it's a 32-acre site. They're looking at removing the existing buildings, the farmstead that's there, constructing 50 single-family residential homes and villas. The area on the right side of the screen up there is their development plan. They are proposing different stormwater best management practices, 2 wet detention ponds shown in blue, infiltration basins shown in orange, filtration basins shown in gray, and then the steep slopes on the site will all be provided as buffer to the high-risk erosion area and to Riley Creek. Which results in almost 10 acres of buffer on the site. And most of that area that is in buffer will be dedicated to the city as an outlot. In terms of overall compliance, this is our compliance summary table that's also at the beginning of the permit report. Couple of things, they need to demonstrate that they have the property rights from the property owner. Right now, they're in negotiations to transfer the property should this move forward. They need to look at giving us, if it moves forward, who's their contractor, who's going to be responsible for erosion control, wetland and creek and high-risk erosion area buffer, maintenance declaration. Stormwater, they're generally compliant except for rate control. And we'll step through the rate control variance request here in a little bit. And then the permit fees have been paid. There would be a fee replenishment that we would recommend as a condition, and then the financial assurance. We also have Dan Schmidt, who represents the developer here in case there are questions for him. He's the engineer on the project. Slide I show, we're not going to walk through this one. This is the general criteria for variances. I think this map does a really good job of showing what's happening visually. On the right-hand side, you can see the different watersheds in red, green, and blue. The red area right now discharges down the slope, the steep slope towards the creek. The green area discharges to the north to an offsite wetland. And then the little blue area, which would be in that southwest corner, is what discharges to Dell Road today. On the right side is their proposed drainage conditions. You can see some significant revisions. They're taking a lot of the area that goes over the bluff down the steep slope and routing it over to Dell Road, where the city is proposing a trunk storm sewer system to collect that and take it down to the creek without letting the flows go over the bluff. Which is why they're asking for a variance, because they're taking much more area that way. Rates are going to go up. They've done a great job of minimizing how much that increase is. And through the use of infiltration and detention across the site, you'll see the rates are going up, but they are within, if it goes forward. There you go. They
Well-
are within the design rate for the storm sewer pipe. The design rate for the storm sewer pipe was set at 14.5 CFS. So even for the 100-year flow, they're looking at a rate of 13 CFS. So the pipe is sized to handle the entire 100-year flow. You can see it is a substantial variance in terms of the absolute numbers, but again, the city did design their storm sewer system to handle these flow rates.
Scott, can I stop you? So the flow, it's all going to the same place. It's just collecting in a different format. It's all going to Riley Creek.
Manager Duval, that is correct. All this flow still goes to Riley Creek, but rather than discharging over the bluff, they are taking it as storm sewer down to the creek,
So
That's what goes up.
except what goes to the offsite wetland to the north.
I'm just curious. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that area going to the wetland is still gonna be sufficient to maintain it, right?
Correct. Yes, that was one of the reasons why their site is a restricted site, is because they needed to maintain the hydrology to that wetland, so there wasn't an adverse impact.
So does that change the flow characteristics in the creek itself? Because we're developing this big plot of land, and so the water is all running off into a storm sewer and then being diverted into the creek. Whereas the current situation, it goes through and it's processed through all the land over the fall. Anyway, I walk that area a lot, and it seems like a good portion of the year it's completely dry, Riley Creek there.
The lower portion of the creek, correct.
Yeah, yes.
So in terms of,
I just
will this
curious.
impact the flow rates in the creek? If you look at an annualized basis, the flow rates would be changing. But in terms of the peak rates coming off of the site getting to the creek, they are going down overall substantially. So that's a benefit to the creek. In terms of assessing if there would be downstream impacts, that gets to be outside of the current regulatory framework.
Okay. Okay.
I guess when I read through this, that's what really concerned me is we're just sending it one more time down the hill. And sure, it's passing for this particular area of land, but what is that doing further downstream from where this is?
The reduction in peak rates will help, but again, we don't look downstream, and that's with any development. I mean, that similar question could be asked if there was a development happening and here, right here in the watershed at this building, what impact does that have? Cumulatively over time, you start to change the hydrology, you change the timing of hydrographs, the flow rates. You could start to see things lining up. You could see things diverging without going through that analysis on each individual project. It's difficult. So that's why we say, make sure you limit discharge rates leaving your site at every location where water leaves your site boundary. That's one way to help to try to control that. And then also, from a water quality perspective, the requirement is you have to reduce by 60% phosphorus, 90% total suspended solids, but you also have to check to make sure it's better than existing conditions for the pollutants leaving the site.
Chart seems to show.
This chart is just showing, it's not the entire site. This is just showing the discharge to Dell Road.
So is that increasing peak rates?
It is increasing peak rates going to Dell Road. It is not increasing peak rates going to Riley Creek.
So I had issues with that.
Yeah, because
The lack of freeboard and, yeah,
double.
right. I'm just not comfortable with that.
I'm assuming the city decided to go along with this because they're ending up with acreage on that bluff that's gonna preserve that bluff. Am I right about that? It's gonna be their piece of property and they're protecting it.
Yes, the entire bluff will be
Right,
dedicated to the
right.
city.
So that's what their exchange really, the way I'm seeing this is,
We're assuming,
There's two.
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
Protected.
yeah, and it's protecting the creek too. I know that. Why would the city approve this to begin with? And that's what I'm saying.
Just manager, so I'm clear. The discharge rate to Riley Creek is not increasing under proposed condition.
It's to Dell and it's going to their stormwater sewer.
Which goes to the
Then
creek.
into the
Right.
creek.
Correct. So what this table is comparing is it's comparing the discharge rate under existing conditions to Dell Road and proposed conditions to Dell Road,
Ah,
not
okay.
to Riley Creek.
Okay.
but ultimately it's gonna go into the storm sewer, which is.
Exactly.
And if we were to put a point on Riley Creek and summarize the flows at Riley Creek, they will be less under proposed conditions than existing conditions.
So this is a little confusing.
Yes.
Harry, what do you think of this?
I think it's kind of a no-brainer, to be honest. I don't want to flip it. They're taking that much extra site, pushing it in a different direction, putting it into storm sewer. I don't know how else they could do it short of not developing it.
And it's treated.
It's treated.
Yes.
It's treated.
Likely lessening pollutants into the stream.
Exactly.
Right.
Lessening pollutants into the stream, lessening volume into the stream with their infiltration basin.
Was this one of the last large sites that would be developed with 50 homes on it? Where we're taking a large amount of land and putting this much development on it? Yes,
One of the last in
it's
Eden
one of the
Prairie.
last ones.
There's maybe a couple more in Chanhassen.
Okay.
There's the Colonial Huts property, which is on Bluff Creek Drive, still available. There's also a large agricultural land at 212 and the Powers, between 212 Powers and Pioneer Trail. And those are kind of the last remaining large parcels.
So through the discussion, we've generally covered most of the items on what I was gonna cover, so.
Bonnie, do you have any questions?
No, I'm okay with the flow, and the sending it to Dell Road. My question always comes back to, since this is a undeveloped property, is there a reason they did not test for the infiltration rate in the clay soils and went with the default in the stormwater manual?
They did test for infiltration rates on the site where they're
Okay.
proposing their stormwater infiltration basin. They're
So just
actually
got that.
excavating through the layer of clay and getting into the sand. and they were able to see an infiltration rate of over 11 inches per hour.
Right, so I read that part, but there's also part of it where you said you were relying on the 0.8 inches per hour from
The
the
design,
manual.
the design rate is what is typically used from the stormwater manual of 0.8 inches per hour, rather than relying on the 11. It's conservatism built into the design.
Okay, so it was the same place. So I could tell which, it was a little unclear in the write-up, which pond was being talked about at different places.
It's the same infiltration basin that's being
But
talked.
there's just one infiltration basin that
Correct.
you're talking about. And then that's the only one that needs to get tested at the end?
Correct.
Okay.
So are any of the issues that we're talking about now, not that they're necessarily issues, but they're the normal process we go through, anything that's reflective of why the first project didn't work? Or was that just something else completely?
I can't speak to why the first project didn't work.
Okay,
I am looking for a motion if we're looking to approve variance from Rule J, permit 2026-026.
question.
Yes,
So is this the project or the variance? I couldn't see it.
The
There was
variance
something about
first.
merging the two,
variance first, and then we approve we work on the project.
the project of the same.
It's all in one
It-
document.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, got it.
I know, I got confused.
Yeah, yeah. But I think we have to do this separately,
Yeah.
right? Right, Liz, so I have to do it separately.
So I move that we approve variance from Rule J, permit number 2026-026 Marshall Farms.
Okay.
Could I add for the reasons set forth in the permit report, because the engineer outlined the reasons.
Yes.
Thank you, Lois.
I second
And you second with the amendment,
with the.
right? Okay. Any other questions or comments before we vote? Okay, all those in favor of the variance to Rule J, permit 2026, 20 or 026, please say aye. As amended. Nobody's disapproving.
I didn't say that I
Okay.
was voting for it. I'm
Okay.
voting against it.
Thank you. So 4-1, Manager Crafton votes against it. All right, and now we're looking at approving the permit 2026-026. I need a motion.
I move to approve permit 2026-026 Marshall Farms as presented in the recommended board action section of the permit review report.
I second it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Oppose what? Nay?
Okay. Thank you, 4-1. All right, next item on the agenda is selecting delegates from the Minnesota Watersheds Business Meeting. Remind me, Terry, again, who are the delegates that we had in place before? Manager Duval, I think, and
Manager Crafton and Manager Duval were the delegates, and I believe Manager Nelson, you were the alternate.
alternate.
And
Okay, so, yes,
No.
No,
I'm.
you
I'm
cannot
not
do
going-
it.
no,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
out, so.
Manager Crafton, are you willing to continue on? Yes. Manager Nelson, you willing to do? Okay, we have Manager Nelson and Manager Crafton. Do we need an alternate?
President Pedersen, I think it would behoove us to have an alternate. It's not required, but yes, I think we should have an alternate.
Fortunately, I'm not going to be there. So
Yeah,
you're not either?
I mean, what is this at,
December.
August.
No, it's in August.
yeah, I'll be there in August.
Yeah, you'll be
Oh,
there in
wait,
August?
so where,
Red Lakes.
Detroit
oh,
Lakes.
yes, I'll be in Detroit Lakes.
Okay, good. And you're okay with Detroit Lakes? Okay. All right, so we have Manager Crafton and Manager Nelson with the alternate sitting respectfully to my left.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
Should that be a motion?
Would that be a
Yeah.
motion?
Yeah.
Please, may I have a motion?
Right, I move that, Manager Nelson and Manager Crafton be designated as the delegates and Manager, Storing be the alternate.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you, Mr. Smith. All right, we're into discussion items, which we have none underneath discussion items, so I think we are to the end of our meeting. At this point, I would love to hear a motion to adjourn.
We adjourn.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you all
Managers,
so much.
thank you for accommodating my surgery. Appreciate it.
Not a big accommodation. We were happy that you're home instead of driving.
A lot of
Don't
people on
laugh.
the road are happy
Don't
about
laugh
that.
now. All right, heal up.
All right,
Thank
thanks
you,
all.
everybody, very
Bye-bye.
much.